This is a world ruled by demons, because demons are overwhelmingly powerful. Humans had no choice but to seek peace. An agreement was reached between the two sides. Each year, humans would offer one living sacrifice to the demons, and the girl named Sariphi was the 99th living sacrifice. Prime Minister Anubis felt that, compared to the previous sacrifices, this girl was far too small and frail. Eating her would probably cause stomach trouble, so he suggested to the Demon King, Leonhart, that they simply tear her to pieces and force the humans to deliver the next sacrifice as soon as possible. But his words immediately angered Sariphi. She began arguing back against Anubis without hesitation. Just then, the Demon King let out a furious roar, putting an end to their argument. Seeing this, Sariphi was not afraid at all. Leonhart found this fearless girl extremely interesting, because all the girls he had seen before would tremble in fear the moment they laid eyes on him. Someone like Sariphi, a human who was not afraid of him, was something Leonhart had never encountered before. In truth, the reason Sariphi was not afraid of Leonhart was because she had already witnessed things far more terrifying. Sariphi once had a happy childhood, until one day, she accidentally overheard a conversation between her parents. Only then did she learn that she was an adopted child. Their true intention was to let her replace their biological child as a sacrifice. The cold look in her parents' eyes filled Sariphi with despair. She felt that being eaten by the Demon King might actually be a form of release. This made Leonhart see Sariphi as someone truly special, so he decided not to kill her for the time being. He would wait until the day of the sacrificial ceremony to eat her. Before that, Leonhart made an exception and kept her by his side. She was even allowed to move freely, though still bound by shackles. When Sariphi saw that Leonhart's room was completely empty, she suggested helping him pick some fresh flowers to decorate it. Although Leonhart claimed on the surface that he disliked flowers, the very next day, he took her to the only flower field in the entire country, because the Demon Kingdom was shrouded in toxic miasma. Only here was the miasma thin enough for flowers to barely survive. Sariphi was overjoyed. She personally wove a flower crown and placed it on Leonhart's head. Sariphi's smile instantly healed something within Leonhart. But even so, he did not abandon the plan to sacrifice her. That night, lightning suddenly filled the sky, thunder crashing violently, unexpectedly. Sariphi, who feared neither demons nor monsters, was terrified of thunder. With no other choice, Leonhart used his tail to cover her ears. In that moment, Sariphi began to feel that this legendary Demon King was not as frightening as the stories claimed. In the blink of an eye, the day of Sariphi's sacrifice arrived. Because it was a sacred ritual, Sariphi was dressed in elaborate ceremonial attire. Under Anubis's guidance, she was brought to the altar, where she waited alone for Leonhart to arrive. But just then, a lizard man emerged from the darkness and seized her. It turned out that the lizard man was dissatisfied with Leonhart's peace agreement with humans. He believed Leonhart was too weak and unfit to rule the entire kingdom, so he planned to take this opportunity to assassinate him. At the critical moment, a mysterious man suddenly appeared and rescued Sariphi. As the man turned to leave, Sariphi grabbed his hand. At a single glance, she recognized that the man before her was Leonhart. The man did not deny it. Instead, he pointed toward an opening and urged her to escape quickly. It turned out that Leonhart was not a full demon. He carried half-human blood within him. On every full moon night, he would transform into human form, then hide in the shadows, waiting to revert back to his demon form. Sariphi instantly understood everything. Leonhart had never harmed the girls who were offered as sacrifices. Instead, he had secretly set them all free. He then used his own blood to fabricate the illusion of sacrifice and deceive all the ministers. Sariphi said that even if Leonhart told her to escape, she had nowhere left to go. She would rather stay here and be eaten by him. But how could Leonhart bring himself to eat a girl who understood him so deeply? So he shattered the chains that bound Sariphi. When the next morning came, Leonhart announced to everyone that he would marry Sariphi as his queen. The demons all believed he had lost his mind, because the demon royal family could never allow human blood to mix into it. Leonhart immediately cut them off in fury. Seeing Leonhart's rage, the demons were so frightened that none of them dared to speak. After that, Leonhart decided to take Sariphi to attend a royal banquet. Before the banquet began, all the demons invited to the feast were whispering among themselves, guessing what the new queen might look like. Just then, Leonhart walked out with Sariphi by his side. The moment the demons saw Sariphi, they were all struck dumb. They never imagined that Leonhart's queen would be a human, the hall instantly erupted into chaos as the demons began gossiping about Sariphi. Leonhart let out a furious roar, silencing everyone at once. He then used his tail to shield Sariphi, telling her not to be afraid. Soon after, the demons began eating. Seeing that the servants were overwhelmed, Sariphi took the initiative and went to the kitchen to help carry dishes, but before she could even step inside, she was stopped by the seal chef. He believed that letting a human like Sariphi into the kitchen would contaminate the food they had worked so hard to prepare. However, the moment the chef learned that Sariphi was the queen, his attitude changed instantly. While in the kitchen, Sariphi noticed a cup of fruit wine that had been offered by another royal clan, even though the little demon beside her told her that Leonhart never drank alcohol. She still decided to bring it to him to try, but just then, the lizard demon deliberately tripped Sariphi with his tail. Sariphi hurriedly wiped Leonhart's cheek. At that moment, the lizard demon stepped forward with fake concern, asking Leonhart whether he had been hurt. Leonhart, enraged, grabbed him with one hand and warned everyone present that Sariphi was his future queen. If anyone dared to disrespect Sariphi, it would be an act of defiance against him as the Demon King. After saying this, he prepared to kill the lizard demon on the spot. Just then, Sariphi threw her arms around Leonhart, begging him not to kill him, because Sariphi pleaded on the lizard demon's behalf. Leonhart reluctantly agreed to spare his life, but if there were a next time, he would show no mercy. Seeing this scene, the demons were all terrified, and finally stopped opposing Sariphi as Leonhart's queen. But at that very moment, Sariphi suddenly collapsed. The doctor explained that her condition was caused by the miasma surrounding the kingdom. After all, she was human, and her body could not withstand such poisonous air. If she continued to stay in the palace, she would eventually die. For Sariphi's safety, Leonhart sent her to a clinic in the human world and left behind a letter. However, Sariphi could not read the demon script. Just then, a woman brought her some medicine. The medicine was made from a rare fruit, capable of purifying the miasma inside her body. Through their conversation, Sariphi learned that the woman's name was Martha. She and her husband, Thomas, ran the clinic together. Under their care, Sariphi quickly recovered. She not only helped with household chores, but also volunteered to run errands. The surrounding neighbors all praised her. Although Martha did not know Sariphi's background, she treated her like her own daughter, and even said that, if Sariphi had nowhere else to go, she was welcome to stay there forever. But Sariphi hesitated, because she missed Leonhart. Yet even if she forced herself to return, she would only make Leonhart worry again. News of a mysterious girl at the clinic soon spread throughout the village. One day, Sariphi went to the general store as usual, but the shopkeeper avoided her as if he had seen a demon. Pedestrians on the street whispered about her as well. Sensing something was wrong, Sariphi rushed back to the clinic, but by then, the clinic's windows had been smashed, and Martha and Thomas were beaten until they were covered in blood. It turned out that the villagers had learned that Sariphi was a living sacrifice. They turned their anger toward the clinic. Thomas begged Sariphi to leave immediately. If they continued to shelter her, it would only bring disaster upon the village. With nowhere to go, Sariphi wandered alone through the wilderness. Just as she didn't know where to turn, she nearly slipped and fell off a cliff. At the critical moment, Leonhart suddenly appeared and saved her. It turned out that, in the human world, where there was no miasma, Leonhart would revert to his human form. Leonhart asked Sariphi whether she had read the letter he left for her. Sariphi could only admit that she couldn't read demon script, which had caused the misunderstanding. In the letter, Leonhart had asked Sariphi to wait for him, promising that he would come back to take her home. Leonhart then took out a ring. The crystal set into it was made from the same fruit that purified miasma. During this time, Leonhart had been searching everywhere for the materials needed to make this ring. Once she wore it, Sariphi's body would no longer be affected by the miasma. So Leonhart brought Sariphi back to the kingdom once again. Sariphi adored the ring. She told him that, in the human world, wearing a ring on the ring finger meant that two people would be together forever. But just after Sariphi returned to the kingdom of Osmargo, she encountered a new crisis. Prime Minister Anubis had harbored deep resentment towards Sariphi ever since the previous incident. After the last banquet ended, demons across the kingdom began voicing their protests. In order to appease them, Anubis arranged a meeting between Leonhart and princesses from various nations: the cat princess, the horse princess, and the rabbit princess all arrived one after another. The cat princess sought out Sariphi, hoping that Sariphi would help her. She said that even becoming a concubine would be acceptable. Otherwise she would be too ashamed to return home and face her people. Kind-hearted Sariphi could only agree to her request. So that evening, Sariphi took the initiative to beg Leonhart to attend the meeting with the princesses. She even said that she wouldn't mind if Leonhart took several concubines. Hearing this, Leonhart became extremely angry. He made it clear that he didn't want to meet any of the princesses at all, and said that those people were full of ambition. He hoped Sariphi would stay far away from them, but Sariphi insisted that Leonhart at least meet the princesses. The two ended up arguing. In a fit of anger, Sariphi turned around and left. However, just after she left, the cat princess secretly slipped into the room. Just as the cat princess was about to seduce Leonhart, Sariphi suddenly rushed back in. When she saw the scene before her, she angrily turned away again. At that moment, Leonhart sternly ordered the cat princess to leave, and warned her never to appear before him again. By the next day, Leonhart still went on to meet the princesses from the various nations. Sariphi and Leonhart ate breakfast in silence, neither of them speaking. Sariphi didn't see the cat princess, so she assumed that she must still be in Leonhart's room. The thought made her feel bitter and sad. The horse princess and the rabbit princess both took the initiative to speak to Leonhart, but he stopped them, saying that conversation was not allowed during meals. At that moment, the crocodile princess in the corner nervously knocked over her tray. As everyone looked on and mocked her, Sariphi immediately went over to help wipe away the mess, and asked whether she was hurt. Sariphi then led her away from the scene. The crocodile princess suddenly knelt before Sariphi. She expressed deep gratitude to Sariphi for helping her out. She also admitted that she knew her appearance was unworthy of the Demon King. She had only come here because of her family's orders. Just then, the lizard general returned victorious from his expedition. He approached Sariphi, then knelt on one knee. He declared that since the Demon King had chosen Sariphi, he would also follow the king's will and honor her as queen. After the lizard general left, the crocodile princess finally dared to turn around. It turned out that when she was very young, she had once met the lizard general. At the time, the Demon King had been visiting her kingdom. Small and frail, she couldn't push through the crowded crowd, and fell by the roadside, her hand bleeding non-stop. Back then, the lizard general, who was still a soldier, noticed her, and carefully bandaged her wound with his scarf. Years had passed, and the lizard general had likely long forgotten her. All she wanted now was to find a chance to personally return the scarf to him. After learning that Sariphi and Leonhart had fallen into a cold war, the crocodile princess decided to encourage Sariphi. She hoped they could support each other and pursue their own love together. As the evening banquet was about to begin, Sariphi noticed that the crocodile princess was crouching alone in a corner, crying in despair. When she went over to ask, she learned that her dress had been cut. The culprits were the other princesses. In order to help the crocodile princess, Sariphi took off her own dress and gave it to her. She hoped the crocodile princess would bravely pursue her love. When the banquet began, the crocodile princess made a stunning entrance. She gathered her courage and walked up to the lizard general, returning the scarf to him. To her surprise, the lizard general still remembered her. Sariphi felt genuinely happy for the two of them. At the same time, Sariphi felt encouraged as well, and decided she would have a proper talk with Leonhart later. But after Sariphi drank a cup of wine, she suddenly collapsed. When she woke up again, she was lying on the stone floor of a corridor. At that moment, the cat princess approached. She pinned Sariphi against the wall, and told her that with her looks, she could toy with those in power at will. And yet, Leonhart wouldn't even look at her. To her, this was an unbearable humiliation. Born into royalty, if she could not serve a political purpose, she would be deemed worthless by her own people. The cat princess grew more and more agitated as she spoke. At that point, Sariphi finally realized the cat princess's true nature. She declared that even if it cost her life, she would never allow someone like the cat princess to remain by Leonhart's side. Humiliated and enraged, the cat princess decided to kill her. At the critical moment, the suddenly appearing crocodile princess took the fatal blow for Sariphi. Just as the cat princess was about to finish them both off, Leonhart arrived in time and saved Sariphi. Soon after, the cat princess was taken away by Leonhart's subordinates. Seeing that Sariphi was safe, Leonhart finally let out a sigh of relief. As Sariphi's friend, The crocodile princess was granted the right to stay in the kingdom. This was the demon king's reward for her selfless act of protecting Sariphi with her life.